Welcome back to where Uncle Jack walks our Blackburn Rovers too good to go down. And should the first thing the new manager do is to drop our captain, how are you all doing? It's another 20 minutes of happy and delirious Blackburn Rovers chat. We've got Mark, Louis, and Harry fresh back from Carrow Road. All very, very angry and confused. Lots to get into this week, including should Cantwell now be dropped? Just what is going on with him? Some fresh faces. What do we think to how the transfer deadline rolled out? Plus, it's Valentine's weekend, so as a bit of light relief, we're discussing who was the first ever Blackburn Rovers fan, Blackburn Rovers player, that you fell in love with as a young child. Lots to discuss. Plus, the A to Z rolls on to letter O. Is that a difficult letter for our team? But let's start at Carrow Road, shall we then, Mark? Where, of course, is it fair to say, trying to stay positive, that up to the point where Carter went off, you were actually all right in that game and didn't look like conceding?
It's fair to say. I mean, I thought it was a really poor game. I thought neither team really did anything to win that game, and I felt we kind of gifted Norwich in that last 20 minutes. I felt we gifted them the win. Yes, it was a difficult one to take really because we looked fairly solid, as you said. Obviously with Carter, again, the problems we have with the injuries and stuff. But I just thought for me, and again, I'm just obviously because of the situation that we're in at the moment. I felt we lacked a lot of urgency in the game. I don't know what the other lads thought, but for a really big game in a relegation fight, I really felt we lacked that energy, that cutting edge. It seemed to me that Johnson was, and this is certainly nothing against him at all. I think he was quite happy to get the point and the 0-0, which, to be honest, I would have taken that, and it would have been a really good point on the road at Norwich. Again, a team that's near us and around us in the league. But yeah, as soon as I think we gifted them the first goal. That was kind of it, and you never saw Rovers getting back into the game. And again, without sounding like a broken record, week on week, game on game, we just don't have that cutting edge. And you feel like we could play on for another two or three more hours, and we just don't look like scoring, which is the biggest concern. So whoever comes in as the new manager, obviously it's a huge concern that he needs to address very, very quickly.
Yeah, just on that Carter issue as well. This was a tweet from Stephen. Says, "I know Carter can't play 90 minutes, Louis, yet, but they totally collapsed when he went off. It was going on until then, ignoring that. As Mark says, there's absolutely nothing up top. Yeah, Louis Minohashi again for you. Where do you stand on him and his contribution up top? Is it as frustrating you as others?
Well, yeah, like everyone, it is frustrating everybody. But I feel the problem isn't Ohashi specifically. I think it's more the fact we've gone back to I think it's a 4-2-3-1 instead of the 3-5-2, and I think he's just so isolated up there. And even if he drops in to get on the ball, there's no one who makes the runs in behind to sort of like cover a striker or covering up top. I feel like that maybe if Afolayan gets more game time, that's something he will do. Is this type of player he is, but there's no one in that team now, who could really cover for Ohashi if he wants to drop in and get on the ball more. I feel like having two up top is probably our better option, to just get our forwards on the ball and get some chances in, because it was working. But I mean, obviously, Ohashi himself, even with two up top, he hasn't been himself this season. Obviously, he hasn't lived up to the standards that he set for himself last season. But yeah, I don't think the problem up top is with Ohashi himself. I think it's just the formation that we've chose.
Okay. I suppose the difference between having a manager or not, isn't it, Mark? Because our Norwich fans said, well, what Philip Clement did, Harry said, was that Clement brought on subs and both those subs had an impact. Oscar Schwarzer, went and scored, and so did the new young lad. They also said about Cantwell, they couldn't believe, Harry, just how far he'd fallen off, obviously since being a Norwich player. Thomas says, genuinely, if the first thing the new gaffer does is not stripping Cantwell of the captain armband, then I'm already tuning out. We are in a dogfight, and that is the person that we have as captain. He's an absolute spineless coward, and he's less said about the rest, the better. Is spineless coward too harsh, Harry?
Well, they're not mincing their words there, but I completely get the frustration and almost what we spoke about before is the fact that the quality is definitely there. I mean, with what Louis mentioned about Ahashi being isolated as a lone striker, that's what you really need your 10 to be involved then to give him support to the lone striker. Because if the amount of times Ahashi sort of drifts wide or drops deep, and then you look up ahead of you and there's no one going forward, you might have the odd wide player out, but you've got the ball out wide, and then there's no one in the middle to get it into. He kind of disappears. He's not that sort of like the 10s that we've had in the past, like Dak or Smodic. So I know they're much greater examples. They're two of the best players we've had in recent years, but they would sort of bust a gut to go and support that main number 9 and arrive late into the box. But Cantwell just seems to want to sit deep and do little flicks and little passes, and that's not really what we need from him. And in terms of him being a captain, I think there's two types of captains you get. You get a real leader, someone who's going to lead, who's going to sort of rally the troops, or you get someone who leads by example through pure quality and class. And he's neither of them at the minute. He would be that player that sort of leads by example by showing his quality, but he hasn't. He's not showing that quality. We all know he's got it. We all know it's in there somewhere, and we've seen it. And you see it maybe once a game. He pulls out a really nice flick or a nice trick or something like that. But they're in sort of ineffective moments. They sort of might happen in the middle of the park, and he might look great doing it, but it ends up leading to nothing, and he gets really sloppy. The simple stuff that he seems to be really bad at, like the simple pass that he will misplace. And that's why I think Rovers are struggling, because he's playing in such a vital part of the pitch, and he's always been that sort of focal point. We play through Cantwell, and he's not. Rovers are really weak in the sort of final third, and that final ball is really poor because he just never really seems to be an option. He's not sort of getting in there to support the lone striker. And I mean, Ahashi can't play as a lone striker. He needs support around him. But yeah, Cantwell's been really disappointing for me. I've said it for sort of 3 or 4 games in a row now. Like, Cantwell needs to have a good game today, and he hasn't for a while. So I think he needs taken out the firing line, give someone a chance that's more deserving of a spot.
Yeah, you agree, Mark?
100%, absolutely. I know we touched on it last week and talked about it, but it's just, as I keep saying, we the fight that we're in, the relegation scrap that we're in, he's not influencing the team at all. He's not bringing anything to the table. And Harry quite rightly pointed out that you have got 2 type of leaders. We not everybody leads in different ways, but he's not leading by performances. And again, there was a complete lack of urgency on Saturday. There's no driving force, nothing. He's just he needs taking out the team. And I think whoever we do appoint, it's going to be really interesting, because for me, he's one booking away now from a 2-match suspension, so he could get that booking at QPR on Saturday. If he's suspended for 2 games and a new manager comes in that time, reassesses the squad, see what happens, he might not be getting back in that team. So again, for him to be captain, it just sums up our season. It tells you everything you need to know about our season. But yeah, he shouldn't even be even near the team at the minute at all.
Okay. We had some suggestions, Louis, of what needs to happen. Shooting practice, Gary says, is one, but please can we drop Cantwell or stick him on the wing? Drop Baradji. We need Pickering at left back and Cashin and Carter as central defenders. Do you agree with anything on there, or most of it, or none of it?
To be honest, I don't agree with the Pickering over Cashin thing. I mean, Cashin is mainly a centre back, but he's doing fine at left back. He's not the problem with our team at the moment. I would just keep him where he is because he's playing well. With the shooting thing, I mean, that's just been a problem with Rovers for quite a while. You know, and until Goodjohnson's back in that starting 11, I've not really got any hope for us scoring, unless it's obviously a lucky tap in or something like that. But we're not going to create good goals unless he's in the team, and I've just accepted that for this season. But the Cashin thing is a bit out of proportion. I don't really understand that comment.
Okay. Harry, some positives then. Let's focus on this fella, shall we? Dapper's debut. Sam says he has to start for me. He looks decent. Jake Turner says, looks an absolutely serious player. Dapo Afalayan, if I've said that right. Were you impressed?
Well, I thought he gave us something that we hadn't really seen in that game, and that was the fact that he wanted to pick up the ball and progress forward. He wanted to drive at players. He wanted to carry the ball. There seems to be a sort of lack of intent at times with our wide players. I thought Alabiossi did a decent job on the right side of midfield, and he's another one that will drive you forward and take on players. But he just seemed a little bit fearless, which I liked, and there did seem to be a little bit of quality in there. There was some really nice. He took on a couple of players and did really well. Played a really nice through ball into Cantwell that we probably should have done better from. He wasn't massive. I think he only played about 20 minutes, and we were sort of under the cosh by that point, so we didn't see loads of him. But from what I saw, why not give him a chance? If we're gonna if we're looking at getting Cantwell out of the team, we're going to need to look for one to replace him. And he looked lively off the bench. So what have we got to lose? Give him a chance.
Cool. Fingers crossed for more of that. Just while we're with you, Harry, you've seen this Rovers team escape relegation before. You've been down there. JDT saved you, of course. Eustace saved us as well when it was looking bleak. Is this as bleak as it's looked for you in terms of when you look around the club and you look at the quality you have? Do you genuinely fear relegation now?
Oh, this is the worst. This is worse than it was under Eustace a couple of seasons ago, and it's actually worse than it was when we actually got relegated in 2018, because even back then there was a little bit of hope because Tony Mowbray had come in and we'd actually had a decent end to that season, and it kind of felt like we went down, but we went down with a bit of pride, a bit of passion, and there was kind of hope. It's like, right, we'll take on League One and we'll give it a really good go and we'll bounce straight back. Right now, it just feels like there's no hope at all. I'd really worry for us if we went down. I think if we went down, I'm not sure we'd come back up for a while. I think you'd need some mass changes behind the scenes and on the pitch as well. And I don't see how that changes overnight. We just seem to. I always thought when we were in relegation battles before, we had the quality and there was always something to hold on to, that Smodics will get us out of it, or Dak will get us out of it, or there was the really good players that we had. But I don't really see that from us anymore. I don't think our squad's as good as it was back then, and I don't really see the same level of fight. I remember the year we were down there, we went to Leeds and we went to Leicester towards the end of the season, and we weren't a great team that season by any stretch of the imagination, but we had battlers and we really fought for every point. But I don't see that at all. I think we're really easy to beat at the minute, and I think teams can sort of look at playing us, and even if it's 0-0 with 70 minutes played, 80 minutes played, I think they still feel confident because they know that we're not going to score and they know that we're susceptible to giving away late goals. I think teams, it'd be mad to not be confident going into a game against us because we seem like a very easy team to beat at the minute, and whoever comes in has got a massive job in his hands to try and turn that around.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, I suppose I've got the perspective because I think, as many as you know, we do one of these podcasts for each of the 24 teams. And, I spoke to Leicester guys this week who are very worried. They don't see any fight in their squad whatsoever. They've got a team of players who have been paid millions of pounds and don't care about playing for Leicester. You've got Oxford who are quite poor just on paper. Pompey fans, very concerned, same as you. They don't have any investment whatsoever coming into their club. And West Brom are absolutely stinking the place out, and the toxicity around the Hawthorns is mad. So if you can just find enough togetherness and a decent manager, you're not great, but there are others which are worse than you. I mean, how do you see it in terms of how worried you are?
Yeah, I'm with Harry. I'm really worried. I do actually think we'll go this season, and again, it will, a lot will come down to depending on who we appoint. And going back to when Harry was saying about Tony Mowbray, I think we appointed Mowbray the season we went down with 15 games to go, and we had that fighting chance, but it was too late. And I think, like you said, Mark, obviously the other teams down there at the minute. I think I said in our WhatsApp group the other day, I said that the only reason Rovers survived this season is by luck and default. And obviously Leicester getting the 6-point deduction last week has really helped us. Obviously with Sheffield Wednesday and their troubles this year, that's already taken one team out of the equation. But I think it goes back to the fight. And as I said, I know West Brom, Leicester, they've got their troubles. I was speaking to a Preston fan who went to their game on Saturday, and he said how they won that. They said Portsmouth really had them pinned back in the last half an hour and looked quite a decent side. So yeah, you always like to think there's a glimmer of hope, but it does come back to that fight. And I just really struggle with how we're going to turn it around. But it will all be depend on who we get in. If we get a manager in and we think right, we've got a really good chance. If reports are right that it favourites Gary Rowett, for me, out of the names that have been mentioned, I probably think we might have a chance here. Championship experience, he might get a bit of a bounce, but yeah, I'm extremely worried. And the conversation I was having with a couple of other fans on Saturday as well, and it was a bit of tongue in cheek really, but I said, we look like a League One side, but not just only a mid-table League One side at the minute. We don't even look like we would challenge in League One because it's a very, very tough competitive league. So yeah, it's a major worry at the moment. We'll just have to say.
Okay. You can't even enjoy what's going on up the road, can you? And all the fallout this week with all that. It's a real shame. Right. This week, of course, is Valentine's Day as we head down to QPR. So we're asking, who's the first player that you fell in love with as a Rovers fan? Louis, for you, do you remember the first player you had name on the back of your shirt that your dad bought you, or players posters you had in your room? You might still have.
I never really had the posters of the name, but a player who I loved, obviously, I'm going to seem really young for saying this answer, but Adam Armstrong or Bradley Dack. I really liked Elliot Bennett. I think I did look up to Elliot Bennett quite a lot as well. To be honest, I'd probably say Elliot Bennett is the biggest.
Okay. What about you, Harry?
For me, watching football and being a football fan is all about watching players who do stuff that you couldn't even dream of doing, like people who look like they're playing in the streets and stuff like that. And for me, that was Bradley Dack. Bradley Dack was a mercurial. He was just, he made it look effortless. He was skill and technique, and from a player, and I love the fact that he didn't look like a skillful player if you just sort of looked at him, because he was a little bit chubby. He had sort of horrible long hair, but put him on the ball that those League One season and that first season in the Championship, and he would work magic, little skill moves. He'd be sort of closed in tight in an area with 3 players around him, and he'd absolutely spin all of them and create something out of it. Clinical finisher, just a joy to watch. And that was probably the most optimistic I'd ever been as a Blackburn fan under that period. And he was really our talisman in that era. So Dak for me.
Bill, Mark.
Well, this is where when Louis was saying he sounds really young, this is where I'm probably going to sound really old. I could have done with his dad on this, to be honest. And it's probably your dad that's got the posters still, Louis, actually, But for me, obviously, I grew up in a fantastic era watching Rovers. It goes no further than Alan Shearer. So he was just, absolutely. Yeah, what a time to be growing up following Rovers. So sound a bit old there, but yeah, one hour.
I do know who my dad would say.
Who would he say?
I think he'd most likely say Two Guy or Pedersen. He used to always talk about like Two Guy, and he still does quite a lot. To be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just let us know in the comments, please, who was the first player you felt made you fall in love with Rovers. Brings us to the A to Z nearly, but very quickly, can we get a number answer quickly off you for the transfer window just gone? 1 to 10, 10 being couldn't have gone any better, 1 being a complete disaster. I know we haven't seen all the players yet, and I know we know it's asking you a little bit early, but yeah, tough. Mark, 1 to 10.
Probably worst person to come to for this. It's hard. I'm going to say 4.
Okay.
I'm being generous.
That's fair enough. Yeah. See Harry nodding along there. You agree, 4, Mark?
4's number in my head. Sort of unproven quality. Didn't lose anyone, but again, a little bit uninspired.
Yeah.
Louis, any advance on 4?
About a 5, I think.
Okay.
Probably could have signed a few more players, but Ismail's sort of saying he wants Championship experience, and then want to sign 1 player who's got the experience, a bit of experience in Championship.
Okay.
But about 5.
5, 4. Let us know your thoughts on all of that. And then letter O, then please. You can have any player, or we're allowing you ever had famous overhead kicks. What gets in it? Who's got a good one?
Has anyone got a good one?
Has anyone got anything?
I'm just going to go off the comments from last week's episode, because there's quite a few comments, and I was like, oh right, that's already sorted anyway.
Yeah.
I think somebody put Olsen twins, so
obviously we had
Martin and Marcus, so we had those. Another favourite of mine, going back to the Sam Allardyce era, Dutch guy called Andre Uye. He was a solid defender.
Christ,
really liked him. So he would be mine, but I'm struggling really after that, I think.
Yeah, okay. I can't really remember. I can't think of any overhead kicks.
I can't.
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
So yeah.
Which one are we going for then, Mark?
Louis, what do you think? Let Louis go with it.
I would probably just say the Olsen twins, just because there's 2 of them, and it's probably a bit more iconic. That they were like, it's probably just a bit more iconic.
Okay, right, there we go. The Olsen twins get in then. Rovers is A to Z. Next week it's the letter P, and P stands for penalty. So we're thinking about what's the most nervous you've ever been watching a single penalty for Rovers, and who would you want behind a spot kick for Rovers if it was if it meant life or death. Right, let us know on that next week. Cheers, Mark. Cheers, Harry. Thanks, Louis. Thank you very much for watching. Drop us a quick sub and a like if you haven't done so already. Thanks for your comments on last week's video. We really enjoy reading them throughout the week, so keep them coming up. Fingers crossed against QPR this weekend. They play hot and cold. very indifferent team to play against. So fingers crossed we come back from London with 3 points. Catch you then.